Let's turn now to the hottest legislative race. It is on the Republican side. LD 15, North Phoenix, Cave Creek. Social conservative State Representative Nancy Barto primarying moderate State Senator Heather Carter. Both have served the district for years. They're well known there among the voters. Kirk, why is this primary even happening?
Look, this has been building for years. These are two individuals that are very different from each other, and the way that they've conducted their legislative careers are quite different as well. And they do come from two different wings of the party. Heather Carter is a traditional Republican conservative, and Nancy Barto leans a little further right than that. And Heather Carter has done she's established herself as a governing Republican. Somebody that people can work with to get stuff done. And they've had their policy and personal differences. And so this is one of those races where all of the personalities, all of the past policy disagreements, all of that is finally inevitably coming to a collision. And this is one of those primaries that I think is going to be too close to call. We likely will not know the winner until every vote is counted.
Wow, it is fascinating when you see the more conservative wing of the Republican Party, Lesko's, Biggs, and those folks, lining up with Barto. And basically it's Jan Brewer sticking by Heather Carter, who voted with her for the Medicaid expansion 7 years ago, and on several other kind of get things done conservative Republican issues. Roy, what do you see as a Democrat in this race? What do you know about any polling that may have been done?
Well, I of course, am a humble Democrat and can't pretend to be the expert on Republican primary politics. But to Kirk's point, I mean, when I look at the future after the election, it is likely that Democrats take control of at least the state house. So we're probably going to be looking at, again, shared leadership down at the Capitol between Republicans and Democrats. And when I think about, getting things done and reaching compromises on issues, that's going to be a need going forward, somebody like Heather Carter has demonstrated the ability to do that. Now, obviously, I'm not naive, and I understand that, candidates that are at the extremes of their parties usually have an advantage in a primary. But I am hopeful personally that it's Heather Carter coming back. That being said, there's polling that shows that Nancy Barto is up. And so I think it's going to be really interesting. Certainly, that's the race that has the most money being spent on each side at the legislative level.
In a primary. And Kirk, is this, I made the point earlier about the base becoming even more pro-Trump. Do you see it the same way in this campaign?
Yes, look, I think the data actually bears that out. President Trump is incredibly popular with Republican primary voters. There is no doubt about that. To the extent that these legislative races can be about local issues, what I've done for you, to the extent it can turn on micro issues. Look, I don't necessarily believe that a legislative race is going to be nationalized like most of these other races on our ballot will be. So I think this gives the voters in that district a very clear choice between two different types of Republicans. And ultimately, who wins this thing may depend on who turns out to vote, which type of Republicans are going to the polls. We know by the data, and we know by experience in 2018, that a lot of suburban Republican voters have been turned off by elements of this presidency. Will they see a fellow traveler in Heather Carter? Will they go to the polls? Those are questions that nobody can answer today, but we'll know a couple weeks after Election Day.
Yeah. And this district does touch on some of the swing districts, swing voting precincts we've talked about as being part of the purple loop around Loop 101, North Phoenix, that area.